wonderful guest with us today, the lovely Dawn Wright. So, Dawn has been a friend, a colleague of both mine and Rebecca's over a number of years. And Dawn is a really valued member of our supervision team. So, Dawn, over to you. I'd love you to introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Dawn Wright, and I have been coaching for about 10 years in a variety of ways. So it kind of developed from mentoring, as I think a lot of people do when they first start going into coaching, that I started mentoring yoga teachers that I had trained to be yoga teachers. And then it really soon expanded out to other wellness businesses and yoga students, because I've been teaching yoga for 25 years, I think. So there was a natural pool of people for me to work with. And I really discovered a love of coaching and went to do further training in that. And that has opened up a whole world of coaching to a variety of different people, both in terms of business coaching and life coaching. And that in turn led to me wanting to explore that world more, the coaching world more, and down into coaching supervision, because I think it's just such a supportive and lovely space professionally. To have that kind of support professionally is really valuable. So I feel really honoured that my working life has led me down this route, that I get to do such lovely, valuable, interesting things with coaching and supervision.
Dawn, thank you so much. It's so lovely to hear your introduction. Although we know you well, it's really great to hear you talking about your background. And I know that you and your identity as a yogi is really foundational to the work that you do in coaching and supervision. So, could you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that kind of foundation in all of those things, like having mindfulness, is a very much part of my personal, not just personal practice, actually, as part of the way that I live my life, the kind of values that I hold um, through what yoga has taught me. And I've been a yoga practitioner for, here's some dodgy maths, I think about 34 years I've been a yoga practitioner. So these things are totally integrated in my values, how I live on a day-to-day basis, how I communicate with people. And I think there's a lot of tools in there as well that can be so valuable to both a coach and a coachee, or a supervisee, when you're working. So that sense of presence, of calmness, of using tools like breath practices or somatic practices to be able to be aware of those things that are going on underneath the cognitive level, those messages that our body can send us if we are attuned to them, um, really brings a wonderful dimension to coaching and supervision, I think.
Mm, thank you for sharing that. And I completely agree. That completely resonates with me. I too have been a long time yogi, not a yogi teacher, but practicing yoga, and in more recent years, Kundalini yoga. And I absolutely channel all that I practice in yoga
Mm.
into my coaching, my supervision, my training work, because you're absolutely right. It's all about being really present in the
Mm.
moment with ourselves and with the people in front of us. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And often, when you're looking for a supervisor as well, you look for the supervisor's previous experience, their style, their approach. What would you say is your style and your approach in your supervision practice?
Some of the feedback I get, both in coaching and supervision, actually, is that I'm very nurturing, but not in a way that lets people off a hook. So I've had people refer to the friendly pointy stick that I might have, so that I challenge people in a really loving, kind, supportive way. Um, and that people always know that I've got their back. I'm in their corner, even if we're having challenging situations and challenging conversations coming up, that I'm definitely always in their corner when we're working together.
And I get a sense from that as well yeah, that's definitely the space that I would feel from you if I was in your supervision seat. And we have been actually in the supervision chair with you in our training, haven't we, Dawn? And yeah, I think that's just definitely a great value that you bring to the practice. So we've looked and listened to you and your journey and kind of what's led you to coaching and supervision, and you also are a coach trainer as well in your practice.
Yeah.
What is it that you love about all of the modalities?
I think I just love to see that aha moment in people, that growth. We can be so busy in every aspect of our life that we're almost like head down, just trudging through things. And I think that opportunity to step back, to have space, to reflect, opens up that space for us to then have clarity. And when we have clarity is when we can make authentic decisions for ourselves and really move forwards. Because I think authenticity, and it's an overused word, but that thing of like working from what is my inner compass and what is, who am I and who do I want to be, rather than all of the labels and responsibilities that society put on us sometimes, is a really empowering space. I certainly always feel personally empowered when I'm acting from my truth, rather than feeling like I'm constrained by other people's expectations and roles and responsibilities that are placed on me. So I think that's really important.
I really love that, the way that you've expressed that, Dawn, and I agree. Like, authenticity is overused, but actually, I agree it's core to who we are as coaches, because coaching and supervision are human interactions, and in order for us to get the best from our interactions and conversations, we have to be fully present, as we said earlier, but also fully human, so that the people that we work with have permission to be fully human. Because we, as you say, have so many labels, we all play different roles, have different responsibilities, the way in which we show up in different situations can be different, and to have the opportunity in supervision to strip away all of those masks, those layers, those identities, and really connect with who we really are, it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's no growth without truly connecting to who you are.
Yeah. So we know that the work you do is really important to you. So tell us more about that. Tell us more about what gets you out of bed in the morning and doing what you do.
It is that humanness. So everything that I do, whether it's training, because I do a lot of training, coaching, supervising, running yoga events and retreats, I think it is that connection and community that is created, the bonds between people. So I mentioned nurturing earlier, and I love to nurture and support people in their growth. And really, to me, it doesn't matter what that growth is. So I don't mind whether that's their growth as a yoga student, or their growth in a training environment, or their growth as a coach. I just think I love to support people to grow in the way that they want to, whether that's personally or professionally. And that is definitely what gets me out of bed in the morning.
And I know that we share a similar value around connection and relationships and like ongoing development and growth. So it's lovely to hear the way that you describe that. And often we have a lot of coaches that are listening to this and thinking about their development and their growth and their connection in their practice and what that looks like. What's something that you think coaches should know about that process of growth and connection and how it can really enhance their practice?
I think to be themselves. So we can, there's always lots of learning and development that we can do, but especially in supervision, I notice this, that people are worrying about, I've got to find my niche, or I've got to do it this way. And I think like we're on such a solid foundation when we come from being ourselves to start off with, and knowing that it's okay to be different, because we'll all work in a different way, we'll all attract different clients, we'll all be wanting to, you know, some people will really love to work in a somatic coaching way, some people like to work in a very sort of neuro based way. Some people loved working with tools, some people love working with imagery, like to allow the things that you love and that feel really natural and right for you to come through as a coach, and to trust that you will attract the right clients to work with your style of coaching as well. Because it's really hard to try and be something you're not.
Yeah, I think this theme of authenticity is really coming through loud and clear. And thinking about the supervision that you facilitate for us at the Coaching Catalyst, obviously you hold groups for us at the Catalyst. So what is it, do you think, about group supervision that might be different from one-to-one supervision?
I think it's the space where people know they're not alone, for a start, because even if you're feeling a little bit nervous about sharing, it's a very vulnerable space sometimes to be in supervision, to hold your hand up and say, I don't think I did this very well, or I'm really worried about this, or I'm stuck, I don't know where to go with this. And to know that other people are the same, because we always think, don't we, oh, it's just me, I'm the only one who's feeling like this. And to see that other people are feeling the same, and to also get the benefit of different points of view, other people's experience, and the community that gets created when you're in a group with the same people month on month. It becomes like a little supervision family, and you even start to get to know, you know, only this week we have the new puppy come into supervision, and we'll get to hear about what's happening in people's lives. And so it becomes a very human experience as well as a professional experience for people. And again, when you are yourself, when you are relaxed, when you feel supported, when you're in a space that feels completely safe to you, is when you're going to get the most growth and the most out of it.
And we were talking to Phyllis, who is our peer supervisor, another associate supervisor, and we were talking about the term of supervision and the fact that supervision isn't that kind of authority piece, that dominance piece, where the supervisor is like the all-seeing, all-knowing. And how do you, as a supervisor, Dawn, bring in yourself and all your humanness into your practice to support the supervisees?
Yeah, I think the word supervisor can be really off-putting, can't it, or supervision, because we might have heard that term in a way where there is a hierarchy. And I feel that I am just the space holder. So I'm there to help facilitate and hold the space for the group. But it is absolutely a co-creation. So it's, you know, I guess there's a degree as in supervision of reading the room, and do I need to step forwards a little bit more today, or is today the day that I need to step back from the group a little bit today? So there's always a dance of the role that you play in supervision according to what's coming into the room, what people's energy are like today, what the personalities are like in the room. So it can be, whilst there's a structure and a professionalism, there's an intuition, I think, that's involved in supervision, in, you know, what's going on here today, and how am I best serving people today in the room.
I love that, Dawn. And that's brought to mind actually a training that Rebecca and I were in on Monday, where the facilitator was talking about the idea of an orchestra, that we can each show up and individually play our own instruments, but as part of an orchestra, we come together and we tune up together. I'm not a musician, so I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I'm trying with the metaphor, bear with me. But we tune in, the orchestra like tunes in together. And absolutely, that's what happens when we land together, arrive together in supervision. It's never the same space. And so that's something really unique to the role of the supervisor, to tune in to help co-create that shared space, so that each individual can play their music, but we can create something really beautiful as a collective as well.
Yeah, that's a really lovely analogy, actually. Yeah.
I was getting ready for you, Sarah, to break into song. That would have been exciting.
I'll spare you that joy just for today.
So, obviously, you holding space for so many others in the various capacities and various hats that you wear.
Mhm.
Who holds space for you, Dawn?
Professionally, I have my own supervision. I have my own coaches. So it's really important for us as professionals to still get support. Like, we're never the finished product, and we always need support from others. And in my private life, I definitely have friends and family that are great support, who I can chew their ear off over anything that I need, or sit in silence, because that's sometimes what we need as well, isn't it? Just someone, again, to hold that space for you. If in doubt, a massage or yoga is always in the mix as well. That helps to support my energy and my nervous system. And as Sarah knows as well, we were talking before we started this recording, I do love to jump in a cold lake whenever I can as well.
And we're on countdown. For those of you listening, we're recording this towards the end of March, and Dawn and I are on countdown now for when we can get back into the lake, get back into the swimming after a long winter.
Yeah, I'm one of those crazy people that do it all year round. So
You do. I'd forgotten this. Okay, I'm waiting for it to get warm enough. Dawn is hardcore, and she goes in all year round.
Dawn is hardcore. Oh dear. Oh, I asked that question, Dawn, because I think it's really important for others to know that we as professionals, like, we walk our talk, and we're not here just offering coaching or supervision or mental coaching without kind of investing in ourselves. And I think it's something that we should promote more of, is the fact that yes, we're here as facilitators, but we also need that support and all of the other well-being practices that we put in place for ourselves. So I kind of already secretly knew that, but I wanted you to share that, because I think it's a really, really great learning for others to invest not only in themselves when they are obviously needing that support, as well as facilitating for others.
yeah,
We led into hardcore Dawn jumping into minus degrees of water.
Yeah, it's so important.
So we are approaching kind of wrapping up, and I guess towards the end of this, we love to invite the guests to kind of share some tips or some strategies to help coaches in their development, helping them whichever part of their journey they're at, so that they can kind of take that away, reflect on that, and to learn from that. So what would you say, Dawn, are some kind of tips to help coaches in their journey?
Yeah, I think going back to some of those things that I said in my approach to coaching, and I think sometimes we really need to kind of go back to them and remind ourselves. We can get so wrapped up in, oh, what should I ask next, and where am I going, and thinking ahead of the game. So that presence is so important, and for that to be really grounded, I think that means having a proper way of getting ready for your coaching session, so we're not just rushing in. So that's setting yourself up for your session in whatever way works for you. So whether that's, having a breath practice, or getting some fresh air, or, when we're busy, we might think it's great to go back to back with all of our clients. How lovely that we've got so many clients we can go back to back, but we need to be in a grounded space. So definitely that presence and mindfulness as a coach, I think that leads automatically to you being able to deeply listen. And again, that's such a valuable thing, that if we're present, we can deeply listen. If we're thinking ahead, we're not deeply listening. We're kind of projecting where we think it might go. And then the third thing, I think, is, because these sound quite serious, like let's be present, is to be curious and playful in your coaching, not in a way that's obviously unprofessional playful, but to have that kind of curiosity and excitement about what might be going on for your client, to balance out that really groundedness.
I love that you've brought the playfulness and fun into the conversation. I agree. I think that's so important as well,
Mm.
because otherwise we can take it all a bit too seriously, and that's an important counter to the depth of the presence, but also the
Mm.
lightness of the playfulness. Thank you. So, Dawn, following this conversation, if people want to come and connect with you, what's the best way to find you?
I'm a Facebook girl rather than anything else. So to find me on Facebook is super easy. So it's just Dawn Wright, and it will have coaching and mentoring and training under there on my business page, or to find me on my website, which is dawnwrightcoaching.com.
Perfect. Okay, lovely. Thank you. So, as we come towards closing the conversation today, we have a tradition here, as I'm sure you know, of each sharing 3 words to sum up our experience of the conversation. So, the spirit of generosity, I'm going to go first so I can give you two time to think, because I know that's sometimes appreciated. So I'll go first, and then I'll come to Rebecca, and then Dawn will come to you last, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So my takeaway, my 3 words today are unconditional positive regards. We know that that term is, widely used when we're talking about Carl Rogers, we're talking about psychological safety, but I really feel, Dawn, my experience of being in supervision, being held in supervision by you, is that you really embody that principle of unconditional positive regard. So that's my 3. Rebecca.
So for me, I'm going to go for connection. You spoke a lot about connection and community and relationships in the spaces that you hold. And I was going to go for hardcore, Dawn, but I don't think anyone would even make sense to that. Maybe I'll switch that for adventure. I see a lot of that in your personality, and it links to the fun that you were talking about as well, So adventure and connection. And thank you for always inspiring me to be more adventurous.
Thank you. I'm going to go for joyful, because this has been really joyful to be here with you guys today. Community. It's very important to what I do, and you guys have created a really wonderful community with the Coaching Catalyst. And the other one is that authenticity that we've mentioned several times today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us today. Those of you listening, really hope you've enjoyed our conversation with Dawn. And as ever, any questions, any thoughts, if you'd like to share your 3 words with us, do get in touch via our socials or via email, and we'd really love to hear from you.
Thank you for having me. It's been really lovely.
Thank you.
Dawn. Okie dokie. I think we're all done. Oh, it's uploaded really